Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap Ltd materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information, and hold on just a second. I'm adjusting the quality on my stream on YouTube. So just a reminder for those of you on YouTube, I am streaming at 1080p. And my screen had picked a lower resolution, so I just went into the settings and changed it to 1080p. So again, I'm streaming at 1080p on YouTube if you have any problems with screen resolution. All right, here's my contact information. Excuse me. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of this channel, as well as my presentation today. So again, Bookmap Discord, Options-Doug chat channel. And by the way, Bookmap Discord is free and available to everyone, whether you're a Bookmap subscriber or not. And there's a lot of great content there, of course, including my channel. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is at Doug Pless. The focus of my presentation today, and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel, is options, order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as the directional bias. And the second step of my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups for entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be talking about an underlying asset. And setups can be taken any number of ways. For example, the S&P 500 can be taken, setups can be taken with ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, or even ES options. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel and Discord, as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post, and I will do my best to answer your questions. Here's my agenda for today, Thursday, November 9th. First of all, I'm going to talk about news items, economic data, events, and earnings for today as well as the rest of the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. And then we'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I will be glad to do that. All right, let's start with news items. So today, there were actually a couple of events. First of all, and actually this event is upcoming, Jerome Powell speaking at 2 p.m. So we'll be on the lookout for that. And then there was also another bond auction today, a 30-year bond auction. And unlike yesterday, there was quite a reaction to that 30-year bond auction. That was at 1 p.m. All right, so that's today. Again, Jerome Powell speaking in about 25 minutes. So we'll be on the lookout for that. When he spoke yesterday, that was pretty much a non-event, as well as the bond auction yesterday. So maybe Jerome Powell speaking today will have more impact on the market like the bond auction did. All right, then tomorrow, Michigan consumer sentiment comes out at 10 a.m. So a pretty light week. A lot of Fed speakers and then minor economic data. Next week, just a preview, CPI data is out, and also next Friday is the November options expiration. All right, so that's the news. Now let's get started with positional analysis. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. This is the ES Futures and Bookmap. And before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to take a look at a larger time frame. I'm going to go to the SPX. This is a 30-day, 1-hour chart. Let me point out the key turning points in this chart first. So this is the October 6th. That's the September jobs report, first Friday of the month. Gamma squeeze led to a pretty sharp move higher. And the SPX found resistance right around 43.90. It looks like the high was 43.93. So right around this level, right where SPX has been trading now. SPX began to move lower, rising yields, geopolitical concerns. This was the October monthly options expiration, very put-dominated, negative gamma. The expectation was for a put-Vanna rally that really only lasted a couple of days, and the downtrend continued. Then this was Monday, October 30th. Traders had loaded up on puts over the weekend, concerned about weekend risk. And then that VIX started to drop sharply on Monday, leading to a huge put-Vanna rally. And during this time, market makers' gamma notional began as very negative and has recently shifted to positive. So gamma notional for SPX has been positive since last Friday, November 3rd. All right, so that's up to date with the key turning points for the SPX. Now let's take a look at some levels. First of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. That's based on the options market. That changes once a week. Then the dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move. That changes every day, again based on the options market. And it looks like the lower daily expected move was tested earlier today. All right, those are the expected moves. Let's take a look at the Spotgamma levels now. These are proprietary Spotgamma levels available to Spotgamma subscribers. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, the put wall at 4,000. That's a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support, and that is well out of play. The next level up is the volatility trigger at 43.70. That is Spotgamma's proprietary gamma flip level, or really it's a volatility flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to subdue volatility, increase or enhance volatility. On the other hand, like SPX has been trading now above that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to subdue or decrease volatility. So right now, SPX trading looks like just around that level. Let me check just a moment. So SPX actually trading slightly below the volatility trigger, and it did act as support earlier today. We'll see that in one of the setups that I want to talk about. All right, so that is that's the volatility trigger. That level did move higher from yesterday, and that is slightly bullish. All right, the next level up is 4,400. And that is, first of all, the absolute gamma strike. That's the strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. That is where most of the gamma-weighted open interest is concentrated. And that's important to know in a positive gamma environment. That can lead to pinning around that level in a positive gamma environment as market makers are trading against price. And that's also the call wall, the strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. So 4,400 is a very important level. All right, let's take a look at a shorter time frame. Let's take a look at a 1 day, 1 minute chart. So this is SPX 1 day, 1 minute. SPX now trading below its volatility trigger. Note that it more or less acted as support earlier today, support again, and now SPX trading below its volatility trigger. So that's another important level for SPX. All right, let's go to Bookmap now. So again, this is ES Futures and Bookmap, and I like to mark SPY and SPX levels on my ES chart. That's how I look at price for the S&P 500 futures in terms of, again, SPY and SPX levels. So I have my own cloud notes, so I can show SPY levels, SPX levels. So these are the volatility triggers. Just above that, there are two white lines there. The white line above is the SPX 4370 volatility trigger, and just below that is the SPY volatility trigger at 436. And note this was an important support level earlier today. So again, I have SPY and SPX levels on this chart. The SPY 438 level acted as resistance earlier today. That's just a round number. That's not a Spotgamma level, but that's where traders often place their trades. So really the trade today so far, up until this bond auction, has been between SPY 436 and SPY 438. And this is, we'll take a look at setups in a few minutes, and this is pretty typical of a positive gamma environment, mean reverting, traders buying dips and selling rips. Pretty reliable in a positive gamma environment, and that could have been upset by this 30-year bond auction. And again, Jerome Powell speaking in about 15 minutes. All right, so those are levels in play for the S&P 500. Let's just take a look down below here. All right, so the next level down is this 4360 support level, and just below that the SPY 435 absolute gamma strike. Then below that is the lower daily expected move. I'm just going to darken up the heat map a little bit to show the resting orders in the resting liquidity, resting orders in the current order book, And notice there are some buyers here. First at the 43.60 level, and then also buyers down below, just below the lower daily expected move. So we're not the only ones that know about these levels. And again, we'll talk about setups in a few minutes. All right, so that's the S&P 500 levels in play for today. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. Oh, and again, just shifts in levels. SPY, the volatility trigger, also shifted higher, just slightly from 435 to 436. And again, that very important level today. The two volatility triggers just right on top of each other. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ now. So this is NQ futures in Bookmap. Another choppy range day today in NASDAQ. Again, typical of a positive gamma environment. All right, let's take a look first of all at QQQ levels. And I'm going to go to a QQQ chart so we can isolate those levels. So a lot of focus around this 373 level. That is a QQQ gamma level as well as a combo level, combining QQQ and NDX, open gamma weighted open interest into one combined level, in this case in terms of a QQQ price. And then here's the QQQ volatility trigger at 372. All right, so that's QQQ levels in play for today. Pretty sharp reaction down right at the 374 level after that 30-year bond auction. All right, let's take a look at NDX just for completeness. And there's that combo level. Prices oscillated above and below that level. All right, let's go back to NQ now. So for some reason that combo level is not shown on this chart. It wasn't in the list of levels. But again, it was right around the 373 level. And note that is looking at the session volume profile for the entire session. That's where the volume is concentrated. That's also point of control just below that level, shown with the dark solid purple line. All right, the levels in play for today, in addition to the QQQ levels and the combo level, also the NQ 15450 level. NQ traded above its upper weekly expected move briefly and then moved lower. All right, again, we'll talk about setups in a few minutes. All right, shifts in levels for the NASDAQ. NDX, the volatility trigger shifted higher. And for QQQ, the volatility trigger shifted lower. And for QQQ, the absolute gamma strike also shifted higher. So kind of a mixed picture as far as shifts in levels go. Not really meaningful in either direction. Not enough to develop a directional bias. All right, let's take a look at gamma notional now to see how market makers were positioned on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. This is important to understand how market makers may react to changes in price and applied volatility. And note for SPX, as I mentioned before, remains in a positive gamma environment. This means for SPX that traders are short calls, market makers long calls, and when they're long calls they have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. So as price is rising, those calls are increasing in value. They want to remain delta neutral, so they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. And SPY gamma notional remains slightly negative. SPY gamma notional rarely goes to positive, doesn't stay there very long. And also QQQ gamma notional is positive as well. All right, so for the S&P 500, gamma notional did shift lower. So for SPX, gamma notional became slightly less positive and became more negative for SPY, and then QQQ actually shifted a little bit higher. So QQQ was the only index product where gamma notional shifted higher. All the other SPX, SPY, gamma notional shifted lower for SPX, SPY, NDX, RUT, and IWM. All right, let's take a look at the Vanna model, and then I'll get a graphical representation to see what that may mean. I'm going to start with SPX. This chart is showing delta notional on the vertical axis, price on the horizontal axis. There are two curves on this chart. The first, the light gray curve, shows how market makers' delta notional may change with price only. The purple curve adds implied volatility to the equation. That shows how market makers' delta notional may change with changes in price and implied volatility. And that change in delta with a change in implied volatility is the Vanna effect. All right, let's take a look at some prices now. Let's see where SPX is trading. Right around 43.64. So it has moved down quite a bit. Now on this negative gamma portion of the curve. Earlier today, SPX was trading higher. Let's check prices. Let's go back to our SPX chart. So the high today was 43.93. All right, so that's right around the bottom of the curve, indicating if price increases, market makers' delta notional will increase, and they'll have to start selling futures. And by the way, I'm looking at the purple curve. That's the one that we want to take a look at. Then on the other hand, like what's happening now, price dropping, implied volatility increasing, market makers' delta notional is increasing. They want to remain delta neutral, so they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. So any tailwind from put Vanna is gone in this positive gamma environment, and there's a tailwind, a headwind, market makers trading against price in either direction as price moves when SPX starts at the bottom of this curve. Excuse me. All right, let's take a look at SPY. SPY trading around 435. Also back on this portion of the gamma curve that's sloping up to the left. Let's take a look at QQQ. QQQ trading around 372 right here. All right, let's take a look at some setups now. So my thesis for today was looking for lower volatility, range day, mean reverting. Again, traders buying dips, selling rips. That's typical of a positive gamma environment. and that doesn't account for any news or events during the day, which could change that dynamic. All right, so let's take a look and see what options traders have been doing today. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. This is the hero signal. Hedging impact real-time options. This is available from Spotgamma to Spotgamma subscribers. Very valuable signal. What this chart is showing is price for SPX with a white line, the hero signal with the purple line, and that hero signal is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures, all into one combined signal. So when I'm trading the S&P 500, this is typically the signal that I look at. And note there's a very, very strong correlation today between options trades and market maker hedging activity and price action. I'm going to zoom in on this chart. Going to focus on the morning a little bit. Note the mean reverting price action here. This was a short in the morning. I pointed that out at the SPY 438 level, and then price reversed higher at the 4370, 436 volatility triggers. So there's your mean reverting range day from SPY 438 to 436 and then back again, and led by options traders. All right, let's take a look at Bookmap. Going to go back to the S&P 500. Zoom in just a moment here. All right, so one of the keys for me is knowing the levels where price might reverse. So again, the first, right around 10 a.m., traders started taking negative delta positions, options traders. So let's look at Bookmap, look at the clues. First of all, we have that level there, a potential reversal level. The heat map is showing limit sell orders just above and below that level. The volume dots are showing market buy minus sell. Green dots indicate more buyers than sellers. Magenta dots indicate more sellers than buyers. Note the final green dot there, buyers are exhausted. Aggressive sellers start to come in and price drops down to the almost to these levels, 436, 437 volatility trigger levels. Note all the aggressive sellers on the way down. Large magenta volume dots, more sellers than buyers. A little bit of reversal at the 4370 level, 74 level. That was noted as support in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. And then price moves on down to the volatility triggers. Note this move down was fueled by sell stop orders, shown by the following yellow line. Also these small red dots. Sell stop orders. Also note the falling dark blue to pink line, that's cumulative volume delta. So there's the short setup. Then some liquidity in the order book just around the volatility triggers. Price breaks above this little trend line, makes a higher low at the support level as aggressive buyers start to come in, shown by the rising cumulative volume delta. And we saw in Hero that options traders were buying the dip. Let's just go back to Hero. See if I can show this without an auto zoom. Do it quickly, puts and calls. So this adds some additional insight. Right around 1040, traders start buying calls. That's shown by the rising orange line. They stop buying puts, start selling puts. So both these lines moving in the same direction, moving up. And that's a powerful signal. It's hard for a product, an index, whatever, to go against that when both traders are, in this case, buying calls and selling puts. Market makers take the opposite side of that, and they have to buy futures to hedge their delta exposure. So that's a very powerful signal in Hero. All right, sorry about that auto zoom. My understanding is that Spotgamma is working on it. That's a bug they're working on. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ now. First of all, I'm going to take a look at the signal for NASDAQ. Not as clear as the S&P 500. Notice options traders taking negative delta positions from the open, shown by the falling purple line. That led to a good short setup right around 10 o'clock, same time as the S&P 500. Let's go back to Bookmap, take a look at NQ. All right, so the move lower continues. Oh, and Jerome Powell is speaking now. All right, so the move lower continues down to the lower daily expected move. Let's see if I can find any insight about what he's saying. All right, so far I have one note here. Powell says a greater share of progress on inflation ahead may have to come from tight monetary policy, not just supply side improvement. So whatever he's saying, the market so far does not seem to like it. All right, so it's good to see some two-way price action here. All right, so let's go to NASDAQ now. We're going to look for the short setup this morning at 10 a.m. So there it is at $374. Aggressive buyers on the way up, shown by the green volume dots. Then aggressive sellers come in. Not quite as easy a read as the S&P 500. Let's go back to Hero. One other signal that we can take a look at for NASDAQ is this. Let me get back out of. This is a new indicator, Hero indicator. This is for. It's a combined signal for the Magnificent Seven, stocks known as the Magnificent Seven: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, Tesla. And then here's this reversal right around noon. Note, traders taking positive delta positions up until around noon. They took their foot off the gas. Excuse me. They take their foot off the gas and turn that around, start taking negative delta positions. Excuse me. Hold on just a second. Then as a group, start moving lower. All right, let's go back to NASDAQ now and take a look. So right around noon, we know that that group of stocks that makes up such a large portion of the NASDAQ 100, traders started taking negative delta positions. And right around that time, NQ trading above its upper weekly expected move. Options traders start taking negative delta positions, and aggressive sellers start to come in, shown by the magenta volume dots. Price moves lower. 30-year bond auction, sharp move lower. Quick reversal up to VWAP, also the 373 level that's been so important today, and price reverses lower and continues lower. All right, let's take a look at some stocks. And I'm going to go back to Hero. So one stock I want to highlight today is Roku. And there were a lot of stocks that have been testing their call walls. And I had an alert set up for several days looking for this in Roku, a stock that has the stock jumped up right after earnings, and I was looking for a short and just waiting patiently for a retest of the 85 call wall. And then when I got that alert today, I put it in my trading platform. That was good for a short setup that can be taken any number of ways. Now I don't have this in Bookmap on this computer. I have it on Bookmap on another computer. But anyway, here's a test of the 85 call wall. A couple of flow alerts before, right at the test, and then after the test. And of course there was a call wall breach alert as well. And then I also had the trading alert set on my trading platform. So that can be taken any number of ways. Buy a put spread, sell a call spread, or just short shares of stock. All right, so that was for me more of a swing trade, looking for some mean reversion for Roku, but also a good day trade as well. All right, so that was Roku. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. Note NVIDIA trading above its call wall and could lead to a good potential call gamma unwind trade tomorrow. So that is when traders are buying calls, they're typically buying calls, especially for a stock like NVIDIA, they're buying calls that expire at the end of the week. That would be tomorrow. And as those calls start to lose value due to charm, that's a change in delta with a change in time. As time passes, market makers, so when traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls. They have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. And when those calls start to lose value, market makers can sell their long stock hedges. Again, they will always want to remain delta neutral. So anyway, there was a good long setup this morning in NVIDIA. Note the floor alerts, traders taking positive delta positions, and as usual, that activity stops, this time right before noon. They take their foot off the gas, and then price starts to move lower. Very, very typical price pattern, a bullish price pattern. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap. Let's go to NVIDIA. So I think there was good news for NVIDIA today. Something about selling. Looks like I need to update my price lines. Selling chips to China led to a bullish day so far, or earlier today, up until noon. Price finally stopping at 482 right around noon as options traders took their foot off the gas. All right, so that's NVIDIA. Now let's take a look at another story. So a tale of two stocks again. Here is Tesla. And there must have been bad news about Tesla today. Tesla at the open opens at the 220 key gamma strike and has been moving lower ever since then. High liquidity targets at the zeros and the fives. Those are limit buy orders that come in typically at the 9:30 cash open, and they stay in the market, stay in the order book until they're filled. So buyers at 215, 210, and also the round number levels in between. And these levels of liquidity act as magnets for price. Let's see what options traders have been doing. Let's go to Tesla. All right, different story in Tesla. Hero trending down all day. Traders taking negative delta positions. Market makers take the other side, and they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure, or sell stock to hedge their delta exposure. So let's say traders are, so they're buying puts and selling calls. Market makers take the other side, that's positive delta, so they have to sell stock to hedge their delta exposure. Here's the 220 key gamma strike. Tesla opened to that level. Now testing the 210 put wall. Sorry about that. So that line may be difficult to see, that kind of a brown, orange-brown line. Let's go back to Bookmap. So there's the 210 put wall. Now acting as resistance. All right, there's one other stock I wanted to take a look at today. Microsoft. Good long setup in the morning. Let's go to Hero. Microsoft. Here's the long setup. Right around 10:30, traders start taking positive delta positions. Price moves higher toward the 365 call wall. Never makes it there. They take their foot off the gas again right around just before noon, and price moves lower. Microsoft has just been on a crazy tier higher. So they were buying calls. That's shown with a rising orange line here. This is what was driving price higher. And reverse lower just below the call wall. Note the abrupt change in the call buying. Again, a very, very typical pattern. And then they started buying puts, and price moves lower. And so far, both the orange line and the blue line are shifting lower. All right, any questions? Anybody have any stocks they want me to take a look at? All right, so in my watch list here, I have mostly large cap tech stocks, Magnificent Seven plus a few others. So I just want to scan through. As I mentioned before, there were a lot of call walls being tested earlier. So for Apple, call wall up above at 185, AMD at 115. It breached its call wall earlier today, now moving lower. Amazon call wall not in play, key gamma strike down below. Looks like IWM moving down towards its put wall at 167. Netflix reversed at its call wall, 440. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Take a look at Netflix. So the call wall, Netflix 440 call wall, acted as resistance twice today. And note all the liquidity at that level. That's where traders wanted to get short. Those are resting sell orders, limit sell orders in the order book, shown by the dark red, dark orange, dark red band at 440. Let's go back to Hero. So I think that really covers all the stocks in my watch list. All right, let's go take a look. Let's go back to the S&P 500. All right, the move continues lower. Let's just check VIX, see what VIX is doing. It's been actually we'll take a look. Got the 10-year rising. Pretty sharp move higher from 4.5 up to 4.64. Definitely a headwind for stocks. Let's take a look at VIX. Sharp rise higher in VIX. Excuse me. Really breaking this downtrend that has been in place. This is a 10-day chart, 10-day 5-minute. Sharp break of that downtrend in VIX. Headwind for equities. Zoom in on this chart. One thing I want to take a look at, this is the S&P 500 combined signal. Take a look at 0 DTE traders. Just like yesterday, they're a little bit more bullish than the longer term traders. So what this is showing, I've got two lines on the chart. The purple line is showing the hero signal for all expirations, and then the green line, or the teal line, is showing options trades for next expiry. And for the S&P 500, that would be options that expire today. So both are negative, and it looks like the 0 DTE traders are taking that notional value is a little bit over a third of the total notional value trading today, both negative. And traders are buying puts and selling calls. I'm sorry, they're buying calls and buying puts. That's shown by the positive notional value for the call line, and then that's the call line, positive notional value. They're buying calls. They're also buying puts, shown by the negative notional value, and also the falling blue line. It looks like, of course, put buyers more aggressive today and helping to drive price lower. Let's go back to Bookmap, take a look at the S&P 500. S&P 500 trading now right around its lower daily expected move. Haven't seen that in a while. Also finding support at the 4350 level. That is SPX 4350 and SPY 434 so far today. Let's see if I can find any other comments by Jerome Powell. Oops. All right, so it looks like Jerome Powell has left the stage at the IMF event after arrival of climate protesters. So it looks like he has stopped speaking. All right, so before that, Jerome Powell said, if it becomes appropriate to tighten policy further, we will not hesitate. All right, so that is the, they're still data dependent. All right, so now the S&P 500 trying to recover at the 4350 level. Let's check NASDAQ. So far, the order flow still looks pretty bearish to me. Looking at the subchart, all lines in the subchart moving lower. Light blue line showing large traders selling with iceberg orders. Sell stop orders fueling the move lower. Also aggressive sellers. Now that CVD line has leveled off. Looks like there are some aggressive buyers coming in. Let's see what options traders are doing. Let's go to NASDAQ. So for NASDAQ, the hero signal has leveled off. Hero leveled off. Let's see what the Magnificent Seven are doing. All right, too soon to tell. All right, any questions today? I haven't seen a single question. If you have questions or a stock you want me to take a look at, please let me know, and I'll try and answer your question or take a look at the stock you want to take a look at. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. All right, so Reflection Studios wants to take a look at Tesla. All right, so we can go back to Tesla. All right, so Tesla may be finding support around the put wall. Let's go to Bookmap. Go to Tesla. Remember, 210 is the put wall. There were some buyers at that level. Price moved through. Then that put wall acted as resistance. Twice, actually 3 times, acted as resistance. Let's go back to Hero. All right, so really what you would want to see for Tesla or any stock in this situation is for call buyers to step in and start buying. So they stop buying puts, maybe start selling puts. So really for Tesla to move higher, you would want to see one or both of these lines starting to increase, starting to move higher. All right, so the dip buyers are definitely coming into the S&P 500. Sharp rise higher in Hero for the S&P 500. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. Not so much in NASDAQ. Let me just take a look at one other thing. Take a look at the heat map for the S&P 500. Note the 2 stocks that I talked about. Bullish day for NVIDIA. Tesla looks like the weakest stock on the board. Also Disney rising. Meta slightly higher. Broadcom. Everything else moving lower. So just a handful of stocks up, everything else moving lower, led by Tesla to the downside, and looks like Disney to the upside. Let's go back to Bookmap. All right, so Tesla still struggling to make it back above its put wall. All right, so in the S&P 500, we know that options traders are taking positive delta positions. few large traders in here buying with iceberg orders. This price moved down, quickly met by other traders selling with iceberg orders. Now the S&P 500 trying to make it above this 435, 4360 level after finding support at 434, 4350. All right, my time is up. I want to thank everyone for watching. Interesting day today. Great to see a little bit of two-way trade, downward move. All right, tomorrow, remember Michigan Consumer Sentiment at 10 a.m. And everyone, have a great evening. And thanks for watching. And I will see you tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.